Hello and welcome to Hump Day. Now today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we started discussing on Monday, which was how we know when we've got a hole in the training and how we know when it's time to move on. I just received a really interesting comment on inside the training, somebody who's doing the long lining work, and she said, well, she's been long lining her horse, but the horse is fine in walk and trot, and then when she gets to canter, the horse wants to gallop off and head towards the gate and ends up dragging her halfway down the arena. And so she thinks she's doing something wrong, but she's not doing anything wrong. The beauty of long reining is that you can see these things. So it's happening right in front of you. You know, you can look at the horse who's trying to drag you off down the arena and you can go, oh, wow, I'm really glad I'm not riding that, because that would be really difficult to ride and I don't want to ride that. And I'm really glad that I'm standing in the middle and I can see the horse. I can see that he's putting his head up or he's pulling on me. I can feel that he's pulling on me. I can feel that he's really strong. And you know then that he's not ready to ride. You know also that if the horse will do that on the long lines, he'll also do it under saddle. So if you were trying to ride circles in the arena with your horse pulling on you like that, then you would probably end up just being carted off towards the gate, and you don't want to do that, obviously. The problem with doing that and riding it before the horse is ready is that quite often, especially with these responses that are fear-induced, that involve speed, which is usually fear-induced, then the horse remembers that. So 1 or 2 repetitions of actually getting away from you, which is even more scary. It's one thing to go cantering off, heading towards the gate. It's another thing to actually get away and have the lines chasing them towards the gate, and that can be really quite scary for them. So anything that's fear-induced is really hard to undo that. So the thing to do is not worry that your horse hasn't got it yet, because it's absolutely fine for the horse to have trouble with these things in the beginning. So the person has done exactly the right thing. What they've done is they've broken it down for the horse. So they've got the long reining in walk, they've got the long reining in trot. The horse is nice, relaxed, round, soft, everything in trot's perfect. Put it up to canter and it all goes to hell in a handbasket. So that's also fine, because it tells you where you are. So now you know, right, okay, I know this horse hasn't yet got this in canter. So what can you do? How can you break it down a little bit more for the horse? And it's quite easy with long lining, because you can see and you can feel the horse, you can feel how strong it is, and you can see where it's trying to get to. So if the horse is heading towards the gate, it might be that it's nervous, it's anxious, and it wants to get out, which is probably what it is. We quite often call that barn sour. Now, I recently made a video about the barn sour horse. If you go along to the blog on my page, kandooequine.com, just go along to the blog and look up barn sour, and there's a video there about horses that are barn sour. There's a few good tips on what you can do about that. But let's come back to this situation here where we've got this horse that's long reining and heading towards the gate. So basically what we need the horse to understand is that you want it to wait for your cue. So quite often horses think, oh, you know, cantering is really tiresome and a little bit scary, so they don't want to do that. And so what we need to do is make sure the horse doesn't think that they have to canter for a long time, because it's very energy expensive canter. You know, the horse has to expend a lot of energy to canter circle after circle. So you don't want the horse thinking that it's going to get tired. You don't want the horse getting tired, because once it's tired, it stops learning. So you want the horse to be enjoying the lesson. That's really, really important. So what you also want the horse to do is be waiting for you to ask it to trot. So you want self-carriage. Now, self-carriage means the horse will pick up the canter and stay in canter until you ask it to trot. If you keep having to cue the horse to canter, to keep it in canter, that's not in self-carriage. That's being pushed all the time, and that will translate directly to when you ride the horse. You'll have to kick it every stride or squeeze it or wrap your legs around it, do something that means unrelenting pressure for that horse to keep it in canter. But we don't want that. We want self-carriage. And this is the time to teach it on the long reins because you're nice and safe on the ground. So what we need the horse to do is to be listening and waiting for you to cue it back to trot. So my suggestion would be two things. First of all, I'd long rein quite close to the gate. If the horse is heading towards the gate, that's where it wants to be. So if you actually long rein circles around quite close to the gate, the horse won't be dragging you anywhere because it is already there. It won't make any difference where you long rein it. We can move later. Let's just try and make it easier for the horse. And we'll make it easy for the horse by keeping it in the place that it already wants to be. So that's near the gate. So work it near the gate. Get your circles in walk and trot first. Your horse nice and calm and relaxed, and have a good verbal cue on that. So a good rewarding cue, the good boy or whatever your cue might be, so the horse, that will help the horse stay relaxed. Then when you do have your good verbal cue, again, it's another video I put up quite recently about a good canter. You'll find that on the blog as well, getting a good canter. And I talk a lot in there about having a verbal kiss cue. So I use a sound for kiss as a canter cue, and I use a clucking sounder for trot. And it's really easy for the horse to tell the difference between the two. So it's important you have a very clear cue. And don't ask the horse to canter for too long. So I suggest you start with maybe half a circle, and then cue it very clearly back to trot before the horse trots. And then you can build on that. By asking for only half a circle, the horse really hasn't even got time to go too fast or to get too anxious, because all you want the horse to do is really start listening to you and waiting for your signals to get it to change pace or to come back or to relax, whatever it is you're asking the horse to do. You want the horse to be waiting for you to cue it to do something differently. And this will really help you. So rather than going round and round lots and lots of circles, you're much better off doing lots of transitions, because this will engage your horse's brain. So we come back again to getting that horse into the engagement zone, because the horse that's trying to run away on the long lines has left our bubble of communication, hasn't it? You know, what's happened is we've got him in walk and trot, got a nice little bubble of communication. The horse is trotting around quite happily, and then suddenly you say canter, and the horse goes, oh, scared, throws its head up, bubble bursts, and off the horse tries to head towards the gate. So what we need to do is to start building our bubble back again. The way we do that is to mentally engage the horse with the lesson. The way we do that is not by doing endless circles, very boring, round and round and round. We need to actually get the horse to start thinking, engaging its brain. And that's the way we'll get it into the engagement zone. So transitions are really good for that. If your horse is already good at walk and trot, do transitions within gait, so you can change speed within gait. I find the long lines is a great place to really start working on your extended trot. So you can have a cue. I put a clucking cue on that. The horse is already trotting, so I put a clucking cue on top of that to get the horse to extend, to make its pace longer, take longer strides. And you can get the horse to do that. You can actually walk. If you're in an arena, you can walk or jog up the side with the horse and establish a nice pattern for the horse. And then by the time you come to do the canter, it's going to be quite easy if the horse is already sort of doing different paces within gait. The horse is already engaged and thinking, and you're going to ask for canter. That'll be quite simple. Then you come back to trot, and then you do another transition to a faster trot or a lengthened trot, and you can really keep the horse thinking. It's what it's all about. Get that horse engaged with you, and you can take it wherever you want to go. And I will see you tomorrow for Throwback Thursday. Bye now.